Welcome to the Soccer Podcast, where we talk soccer in Delaware, soccer in the rest of the world, and everything between. My name is Sebastian, and this week I'm joined here by Dwayne and Andrew. What's up,
Yo,
Hey,
guys? We
where you at?
no. I know where you're at. It's funny that we a week ago we were basically sitting right next to each other. At no point, well, no, actually, no, we did record together. We just didn't record an episode together. Um, but yeah, we're back from the United Soccer Coaches Convention.
Through the
And
snow. We dashed through the snow.
yep.
yeah, we had a little bit of snow. Did you have any problems getting out, Andrew?
Nope.
A
No.
little bit.
Smooth as can be.
Nice. I don't know. 20 minutes down the road at Wisfis, they were covered in snow playing in the tournament.
Oof.
You know? I mean,
Philadelphia Airport is here. It's time.
I had the one flight into Burlington that day, so
oh, nice. They
I got
opened
I
up the
got it.
They
I
airport
had
got
just
to
for
in.
take
you.
they had to take off.
I had to.
Yeah, we got snow coming up, which I mean might mean that we might record more episodes when I'm assuming you're getting snow too, Andrew.
They get snow every day.
Yeah, this is a normal day for us, so everybody's here proceeding as normal.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah,
They
we
just leave their cars at home and get on the snowmobiles and go to work.
have
Right.
Just
Yeah, Andrew has a sled and a couple dogs that just
that
take him
too.
around.
You want your Prius, you want your electric snowmobile, you just use the dogs.
Yeah, there you go.
Take your
Actually, you
dog to
can
work then.
uh you can select mode of transportation up here, and one of them is snowmobile.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. For your insurance, like your car insurance, you can do it's like the
I write
snowmobile.
it off on my year end.
Perfect.
That's how the Vermont regionals, they don't have golf carts, they got the
They
snowmobiles.
got snowmobiles. There you go. Yeah.
Right.
But the
Uh,
Delaware regionals, you just got to walk everywhere. Our state director don't hook us up.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, you guys came on Vermont's
uh,
golf cart last time, right?
we did. Yeah, we did. Well, that's the problem. We booked a snowmobile for July. That was the issue. There was
Now
just no
the
snow.
story comes out.
Yeah. We booked the snowmobile. That we couldn't use it. Yeah, either that or you should. I want a year where well actually Nationals is gonna be in Tennessee for the girls. I want people to go out there and like tractors or like lawnmowers, and that's they gotta get around. You gotta get around a lawnmower. That would be fun. All right, so recap from the convention. I mean, I think Dwayne probably went to the most amount of sessions out of the three of us. I probably went to the second most, and Andrew probably went to the least, if I had to guess.
I was in meetings and I presented at
That is
one, but
true. You presented a session, which neither of us did. And that is a bucket list item for me at some point in my life is to present at the United Soccer Coaches Convention. Uh,
After the convention and seeing one session, I don't think I could.
we actually the room was actually kind of filled, which I had zero expectations of.
okay.
So I did the presentation with Daniel Radford on the USYS grassroots referee working group.
How was it?
It was good. I had zero expectations because it was a Saturday morning presentation, right? Which, we flew out afterwards, but it was a mix of state associations, SRCs, obviously some of the USYS board, and there were some random people there that I did not expect. So I thought it was good for a Saturday morning session, and actually it was kind of interactive, which I also we had zero expectations going in, right? We felt like it was going to be an updated presentation and whatnot, and I tell you what, it actually was better than I thought it was going to be. Obviously, it wasn't the biggest one, but it was quite good in my opinion. So I thought it was a good experience. It was fun for me. It was the first time I ever did it.
Yeah.
Daniel was more along the lines of I'm doing five of these, so whatever. But no, it was good. It was Daniel, myself, and I don't know if you've ever met Gordy Wetmore, but he's the director of referees for Kansas youth
Okay.
soccer. So I got a chance to know him and his team, and it was a good experience. So
Nice. Good stuff. Dwayne, did you go to any cool sessions that you
I
enjoyed?
really just by mistake, I think I was on my way to another session, but the Red Bulls ran a fantastic session. I think it was Saturday morning. I think it was Saturday morning. before he rolled out of there. It was Friday morning, one of the two. Red Bull, as I was walking by, I was just watching something, just happened to peek over in that first field as you came in the convention hall, man. I was just kind of got glued to it and loved it. Just loved how the way they started with a simple passing pattern, they built it into 2v1s, 2v2s, and turning and all that stuff. So I actually used it last night and it was fantastic. The,
Nice.
the it's funny because I tried to set up in the same amount of space that they set it up, and I figured the gym that I was in would be the same size space, maybe even a little bit larger, and it was just super tight in there.
Yeah.
But no, definitely enjoyed seeing the session. It's always good to come up with some new ideas. I love seeing things that you already use, and then
Yeah.
seeing like the twist that people kind of put on them, or what's something that you haven't thought of that you can kind of add to it. So that was pretty cool. I think we saw a box passing pattern or a box mid. There was a box midfield session or something like that that we saw the on that Friday. That was awesome as well. But it was
Nice.
cool. It was nice seeing the Delaware teams out there competing.
Yeah. There's a ton of Delaware teams out there, which is really cool. That was actually, I thought, a really cool and exciting um somewhat addition or surprise to a certain extent. We've had it in Philadelphia before. This is the third time that I've been to Philly for the convention. And we've had teams there before, but I thought this was a really good representation from Delaware. Um, yeah, for me it was cool. It was an interesting experience because so the first time I came to Philly was in 2015. Yeah, 11 years ago. In 2015 was the first time I'd come to Philly. I was still living in Tennessee. And I told myself, or I told Fields, who was my buddy there, who was my technical director at the time. Um, as I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna know anybody." He's like, "No, you're gonna know somebody at least." He's like, "I was like, no, no way." There's like, I'm in Philadelphia. I've just started coaching recently. There's no way I'm gonna know. So I did know one person that I ran into while I was there. And 11 years later, I'm happy to say that I ended up knowing a lot of people this year. Uh, at one point, I actually was walking towards a meeting, and somebody like was like, "Oh, hey, Sebastian." I turned around and I had like no idea who it was, no clue who it was. So that was a cool experience just to meet a lot of or not meet a lot of new people, which I did get to do, and then reconnect with a lot of people. I got to reconnect or see a lot of people that have been on our podcast.
Yeah, I saw he's a futsal guy. I can't remember what his name
Keith
is.
Tozer.
I saw yep, there he is.
Keith Tozer.
Keith.
Yeah. He who is now he was just named the head of USA adult futsal or something like that. He was just named the commissioner or something, or the indoor league, that indoor league. It's him,
MAS 3 or whatever.
yeah, or something along those lines. Yeah, he was just named one of those things. Um, but yeah, like I got to, chat with Tom Shields from STA for a little bit and who's been on the podcast a couple times. I got to see Dan Abraham's session, who's been on our podcast before. Got to see Vince Gansberg a couple times walking around too, which again, he's been on our podcast. So that was a really cool moment just to be able to see how many people have been on our podcast that are either A, still presenting, or I got to interact with. Stacey Wilson was walking around, and I know she had a couple sessions.
Get out
James
of here.
Wagon,
Did she really?
yeah, James Wagon shoots. Yeah, like all these people that have been on our podcast a couple times.
I still use Stacey Wilson's technique with the ladders, with the pause.
Oh yeah,
When you go through the ladders, you pause off of one foot and push off.
yeah.
Still use that to that day, to this day.
There you go. And then I think the biggest thing out of the convention was the updates from a USYS, US club, and US soccer standpoint, because those have been now publicly put out there, so we can kind of talk about them. And I completely respect the fact that Andrew might not want to share uh, whatever opinions he might have or might not have. But I did. I will be completely honest because again, I sat in our DYSA AGM yesterday and talked about the fact that I somewhat left with more questions than I came in with, um, going into whatever's happening within our landscape. And I expressed that to the USYS and the US soccer leadership when I met with them too. Um, I feel like if we're going to actually work together, then let's work together, but let's have some answers before we just announce things that we're working together. That was my biggest thing of
What does AGM stand for? Annual
annual
General
general
Meeting?
meeting.
Oh, look at me. Someone asked me that yesterday, and I responded with that.
Yeah, annual general meeting. So
AGM just sounds so legit though. Sounds like you're going somewhere.
you're going somewhere. I got to go to the AGM.
You gotta go to the AGM.
Well, I
Sounds
mean,
important.
Andrew and I are, we're prepping. We got 3 weeks or no, 4 and we head to the next AGM.
Yeah, is that the one you got to ball out in, right? You need the
That
video
is
camera.
that is the one we have to play in, and yeah,
Right here
yeah, yeah.
says we
There
got
you
you.
go. I mean, Andrew, did you feel like you learned anything new about what 2026 will hold from a larger landscape perspective, or do you feel like there's still so many unknowns?
Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit of both, but I think and I don't know, I'm gonna have probably haters and supporters on how whatever I say, but I think their intentions overall are really good. I really do.
Yes,
Like I think they're
I do.
trying.
I agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah, like I think we're moving in the right direction. I think when you're a national governing body, there's always people that are going to want to move at different timelines, right? Whether that be from the Midwest, the West, the Northeast, who knows, right? And that's the juggling act. But I think overall, like the ideas are quite good. I think, the only thing that I think has thrown people for a loop was that they saw US Club's announcement prior to USYS's announcement, right?
yeah,
And I think whether that's good and right intentions, I think everyone's working together between, I sat in a meeting with Mike Cullen and Tom and everyone else, and I think everybody's moving in the right direction, in my opinion. And I think the idea and the framework is quite good. I just think they are trying, and what I will say is they are trying to get out as much information as possible, as
yeah,
soon as possible. I think the problem is, they're also trying to navigate this because one wrong turn and it's gonna could screw up one side. So I side with them more so on this one. What I will say is if everybody does not you all have to be on the same train, right? So
yeah.
if we we're a member of USYS, we should, these are people that are in positions for a reason and we need to buy into that. But I think also there what I've learned with particularly the leadership of USYS, since I've been here, and I'm probably the newest, I would imagine, out of most, maybe not now, is they're willing to have the conversations, which I think is important. So take advantage of that, in my opinion. Like don't just say it, do it. Like talk to them and let them tell you. And I think they're willing to do that. So I would say yes and no. I think also it's our job as state associations to kind of be that connective voice too, between the top and our members. So that's something that we're certainly trying to navigate from the state level too. But I don't know. I think the overall objective of what's trying to be accomplished is good in my opinion, and I think it's the right direction. We just all have to figure out how to apply that to our states or clubs or teams or whatnot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you from the perspective of the willingness to have the conversations. I felt like last year was my first time going into these meetings as the executive director, and this year I felt more comfortable within in my own skin, I guess, to
Yeah.
and confident. So I definitely had the ability to speak up. I think in both of my meetings internally, the thought was that we actually there was I posed questions that at least made them think. I at least got some answers within that. I think the tricky part, and this has been some of my biggest um, point of potential frustration, even before taking this position, even when I was a club director, is the fact that there are so many voices at times that it gets lost or it becomes difficult to hear them. Because and again, I agree with you that we're this is way better than it was 10 years ago. Um, but you're trying to now wrangle in all of these different entities together or somehow get them to sit down at the same table and try to speak the same language, even though it's the same four lines and the same round ball. I think that's the hard part, which it almost feels, and I feel even guilty for saying the fact that like we put ourselves in this scenario, right? Like we put ourselves in a scenario that like we're now trying to fight against to a certain extent, because of so many years of disconnectedness or the ability to kind of run wild and kind of create your own thing just because you could.
Yeah.
Which then, if you look down of how it trickled down, um, we went to a point where clubs were popping up left and right just because it would be a group of parents that got upset with whatever from a club, or a group of coaches that got upset with a club, and then they just started their own new club. I think now we're starting to see, at least in our area, we're starting to see clubs have to come together because of that, because they were separated for so many years, and you're starting to realize that financially it's impossible, because Dwayne knows as well, like running a soccer club is expensive. It's not easy, because there's a lot of costs and a lot of factors that
You
play
have
into
to
it.
have a place to play.
Yeah, and what not and I would even say that, I had conversations before with people trying to start clubs, and the biggest question is, like, it's not even, yes, that you have to have a place to play, but you have to think about insurance and equipment, and league fees and referee fees, and how are you getting from point A to point B, and what, all these things that sometimes people don't think about, or parents don't think about too, when I don't disagree that the pay to play model needs to be reevaluated to a certain extent. Um, but ultimately, whether parents are paying for it or somebody else is paying for it, somebody else has to pay for it. We don't live in a
Yeah, I mean,
society, we don't
I
live in a
think
world where you're coaching for free.
no, I think that I mean, just like everything, right? Like, where is? I mean, I just think that, like, where's the kick in? Like, we put the, if we don't want to dive into a whole pay to play. That's a whole different episode.
No,
But
no,
I
it's a
think,
whole different thing. Yeah.
but like, I think, like, we ask the parents to pay for everything, right? And it's like, where's the kick in from the counties, the governments? Like, hey, what about
Yeah.
that county that doesn't? What about that county or that city that a club team plays in, and that is the only form of sport? That is the Parks and Recreation program. Like, you don't think of it like that, but there is your Parks and Recreation program. Like, where is the tie-in to support some of these smaller clubs like that? Like, those are just things we got to think about too.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it from the perspective. I think the YMCA is, to me, is a perfect example of how it's the most similar thing I could find to potentially what a soccer club could be in this country. Um, you pay a membership to a YMCA, right? $100 a month, $200 a month, whatever it is that you pay to get into the YMCA. That gives you access to the gym, the classes, and everything else. If you want to do extra things within that, then you got to pay an extra fee to sign up for extra programming. You might get a discount because you're already a member. But when you put all of that together, there's an associated cost with that. Just because it breaks it down within a monthly payment and feels like you have access to all these things, the difference is that in a YMCA, you're not talking about 100 people, you're talking about thousands of people that are members of the YMCA. It's the same thing with the gym. So it's that same concept, right? Like, that's the part that at times, because the people that with the YMCA get paid, the equipment needs to be replaced at any given point. Um, you know, uh, Middletown, they just built a brand new YMCA. Like, that takes infrastructure and money and all these other things. So again, as Dwayne said, we're not diving into a whole pay to play model discussion, but I do think we're trying to undo the things that were done years ago, and it's just where we are now.
And I think the important part here is honestly, like, we ask for change, right?
Yeah, and we're getting
Club
it.
States, and yeah, and now you're getting change. And
Yeah,
what happens when people actually act like, oh, like this is now uncomfortable and new? And I think that's where a lot of them are coming is, I think if you broke it down on the fundamentals of all that's going on right now, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you that the direction and the idea is good. I don't think, no one's going to disagree and say, hey, like this is great. We're trying to bring together
yeah,
all of the alphabet soups to create soccer, right?
yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, what now you've seen is people have built their job out of this, their business out of this, their
Mhm.
ownership out of all of these individual entities that trickle down the ladder. And are you willing to sacrifice yourself for the greater good of the pathway, let's call it, right?
Yeah.
And we know
That's
the answer is gonna,
always
yeah.
the tricky part.
And that's just the reality of it. And that's fine and we get it. But like these are conversations now that it's become so prominent that yeah, are gonna be very difficult. And I think that's why you see a lot of people on edge is not that they disagree with the idea or the intent or the purpose, but it now impacts all the other subsequent.
Well, I even think that even I think it would even go potentially beyond the concept of a financial impact from an individual perspective. I think a lot of it is a potential hit to somebody's ego at times.
Sure.
I find that in this world that we live in, from a soccer standpoint, and even let's go even deeper and go from a youth soccer standpoint, the concept of the title that you hold and own and or whatever it is, it's such a weird point of pride to people that you want to call yourself the whatever director or that like it's I think it's more that I don't even think it's from a financial standpoint that you're like, oh no, like there's obviously a component to that. But I do think it becomes an ego thing of like, what if I'm not in charge anymore? What if I'm not the director? What if I'm the assistant director? Like, or what if I'm just the, whatever. I think that plays a huge part of it into it because Dwayne and I have seen that from a club perspective, even working together, where that weirdly meant so much to people. And I was just like, you can call it whatever you want. It's the same thing as what I would tell parents. We can call it A team, we can call it B team, we can call it green, yellow, lizards, or dinosaurs. Whatever title you want to name your team, it doesn't really like it's whatever letters or numbers or whatever you want to put in it. That's perfectly fine. But it's that status. It's this concept of status, right? Like I gotta have the status. I gotta be able to put that on my LinkedIn profile that I'm that person. Like, great, good for you. I don't know. Maybe
But
I
that's
just
just
don't.
how we are. But I mean, that's just how we are in society as well, right? Like, what's the top player on every team is a number 10, right? Like you leave that jersey open, your number 10, 9 times out of 10 shouldn't be your left back.
There's only one number 10 right here, buddy. This guy right here.
I think it,
I got a
I
couple of
think
jerseys.
in yeah, I
I got
think
a
in like second
I
grade
remember
I was number
he
10.
wasn't even number 10 at PSG. He was number 30.
It was because number 10 was taken and he didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't
There ain't
want to
no
take it.
one number
Yeah, that's just
10.
that's selflessness, man. That's putting the team above you. No, I mean, I think ultimately, listen, at the end of the day, we can wrap this up so it doesn't seem super long-winded, but at the end of the day, I think the convention was good. I think the funny part is a year ago, Andrew and I were sitting in Chicago, uh, like listening to all these people talk about the fact like this is the last convention, enjoy it. This is the last convention. This isn't coming back. And I thought this was one of the largest conventions I've been to as far as like the number of people. Every session that I went to was packed. And there was a ton of sessions happening at the same time. I think over the years they've narrowed the schedule down a little bit more, so it's a little more compact. It's a little more Andrew's favorite word, intentionality, into it. So yeah, um, I think there was definitely that part of it was good.
If anyone's listening and I can harp on one point, it's my
Yeah.
only harp, maybe someone will listen, is I felt like the setup, like I just felt like Philadelphia's setup between the convention center and everything was not ideal for a convention.
What do you mean?
And well, let's take example. So, you had to cross the street, go down the escalator to get to said thing. There were two levels of the vendor halls that were very
That was weird. That
confusing.
wasn't like
Yeah.
that before.
No,
No,
and
I think they I don't think they set the space up correctly because I feel I also feel like the fields
Well,
got
one field was
smaller.
yeah.
extremely small.
Yeah.
Now I
And
get the
so
one field. I can understand where the one like if you're working on finishing and you want prime time or you're working on goalkeeping, you want prime time audience. I think that field served its purpose. But I don't
Yeah, but
think that
they've
outside of
definitely
that, any
condensed that part down because in the past, your fields were all in that big space where the fields were this year. They were both fields were there, and there was nobody else there. It was just the fields. They've even had it before where they would use one of those big spaces for one field, and then they had another big space for another field, and they would break it up. The tricky part was the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall all being in one place was weird, or
and
being
I
in
feel like
two
it was
different
tight in
places.
there.
Yeah, it felt tight. It definitely didn't feel like there were. I know for sure because again, we went to a couple different meetings where we were upstairs in the third floor looking down, and you could see empty spaces. Again, part of it is just cost and all these other things that play a factor into it. I will say, Andrew, because this is my third time in Philadelphia. This is the least amount of walking I've done.
oh, well then I'm glad this was my first one.
In the past, they've had way more sessions in the other side across the street.
Yep.
More of those rooms were used and things like that.
Well, and I'm wondering, next year is in Kansas City that they announced, and I'm wondering if they're going to copy the grassroots symposium they did this year because I felt that that space was actually pretty good if they go to the same
Kansas
location.
City,
No,
I'll tell you
Kansas City
this.
has a convention center.
Okay.
Yeah, Dwayne and I have
Kansas
been
City,
there.
I'm gonna tell you this. Kansas City was freezing, but you never had to go outside.
Yeah, everything was actually weirdly inside.
Everything, because remember the podcast road was right on, like you saw everybody going up to the exhibit hall.
Exhibit
Like there
hall,
was a lot
yeah.
of traffic.
Yeah,
I,
we
I
ended
don't
up with
can't
a lot
remember
of
where the fields were there though.
I think they were on the other side. You had to keep walking down where we were for the
Stayed on the
podcast.
same level and just
Yeah.
walk around.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just remember that. I just remember that long. I just remember that long walk all
Yes.
the way up to the podcast,
Yeah.
and then you went straight up to the exhibit hall.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Kansas City is cool. What I liked about Kansas City is that
The Yard House served
the
vegan food.
public the yard house at the time served vegetarian options. Um but Kansas City has a pretty good public transportation that's also free that you can kind of go up and down the main road. What's up, Tobin? Not Tobin. Goodness.
Wrong crib,
Wrong
man.
dog.
Hey,
Corbin.
what's up with her?
Was she wearing a blanket? Was he a
Yeah,
sweater?
Hillary be dressing these dogs up, man, like it's a Barbie.
Um, but yeah, no, Kansas City's gonna be cool. It'll be fun.
Yeah, the free streetcar was clutch.
Yeah, that was perfect. Kansas City is interesting because you get there Wednesday, Thursday, and there's nobody in the streets. Like you go out at night and there's nobody there.
Yeah,
And then all,
it was like a tumbleweeds.
yeah, and then all of a sudden Friday night hits and everyone's there. Like you
Everybody
go
was
into the
there.
convention center, you go out to lunch in the convention center on Friday, and it's empty. Then all of a sudden you go back to sessions or meetings, you leave for the night on Friday, and all of a sudden it's like everybody has populated into the city. It's an interesting place.
Yeah,
Um, all right.
cold out there though. Why don't they pick like Florida, Texas,
Uh, I mean, accessibility as far as like how you can get there, location of where
Atlanta?
people. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited for
I
the
feel
fact
like just
that
it's always
yeah,
cold, man. It's
I'm
January.
excited for the fact that 2028 is back in Baltimore, so we don't have to travel that far
It hasn't been in Baltimore since that one year.
since 2020, right before the pandemic.
Yeah, right before. Yeah, is that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's been a while.
that was premonition on that one. 2020 was the year where we launched a podcast. Coming out of that convention,
Because
I left going next year. I will be back. Next convention, I'll be back as on the podcast show. And well, 2021 convention was on Zoom versus virtual, but then after that, we were back with the podcast. So, all right, let's get to the player of the match because we'll throw in the interview later. Because since we're gonna put this up on YouTube, we're gonna throw the interview in there at the end. Um, the interview is with Danny and Jason from PropelPro. Very, very fun interview. Yeah. I don't think Danny has called me Seb yet, though, even though he got the okay to do it.
Uh-oh. Well, if he listens to this, is he never going to hear the end of it?
Yeah, he's never gonna hear the end of it now. Yeah, like so, Danny, if you're when you're listening to this, again, you got free reign to call me Seb. You also had it from the beginning. I don't know. That's never been a secret. Oh, by the way, I don't think we talked about it, Dwayne. When I talked to Danny after he's met with you guys, um, he talked about he's like, when do I get to call you Seb? And I was like, I don't know, whenever you want. Like, and he's like, yeah, but like, isn't that like reserved for people? I was like, no, like this started
that's
because somebody
Seba. That's Seba.
didn't want to say my full name, so I don't really care if you what like I don't particularly care. I just introduced myself as Sebastian. I like my name, but Seba, whatever, doesn't matter. All right, so let's go with the player of the match. I'll go first. My player of the match goes to IK, as I am now referring him to. Intern Kyle. We now have a new intern at DYSA. So intern Kyle was clutch at the convention and clutch yesterday at the DYSA AGM. So big shout out to Kyle, who's our new intern at DYSA.
Kyle that didn't know his cousin.
Yeah, exactly. All All right, Dwayne, you want to go next?
Man, none of my teams. I mean, I guess player of the match doesn't have to go out to like a specific like team or player.
Listen,
Because
you
all
as a
my teams
Crystal
did well.
Palace fan, I'm not sure that you get
Crystal
to.
Palace is going through it, man. I
Yeah.
mean,
This is that time of the year. This is the time of the year you always talk about where you're about to go in a relegation mode, and then all of a sudden you get to the Europa League.
they were in the Europa League. They were about to be in the Champions League, and now they're like mid-pack. Like, all right, you know what? We did our work at the beginning of the year. We can slack off the second half.
Yeah.
Because I think who was it? Was it Wolves that only had like 2 points at the Christmas break or
Yep.
whatever?
Yep.
Um, I mean, was about to give it to since Corbin kept popping in the podcast. I was going to give it to her namesake Corbin, but she played. I mean, she played 90 last week.
Yeah.
Had a goal in the Champions League in December.
Okay.
I'll give it to Corbin's namesake since I mean, I guess that's what Corbin was trying to tell me when she kept climbing up here.
Perfect.
Corbin, well, I guess she's Corbin Schrader. It's not Corbin. Corbin Rose.
I don't
What
remember.
was her name? Huh?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Corbin Schrader. Now it's difficult in the women's game when they get married. Can't remember who they are. Like Lindsay Heaps. Like what was her maiden name?
Uh,
They.
Lindsay Horan.
Haran. Yeah.
Lindsay Horan. There you
I
go.
forgot. I forgot.
No.
All right, Andrew. Your player of the match.
Yeah, let me. You guys knew I was gonna do this. Let me get it out here.
This dude. Oh, we
Uh,
disappeared.
My
It's like a
Man
magic
United.
trick.
My Man United
it's
here.
your background. Your background. You got to take your virtual
I know.
background off.
I
Yeah,
know.
that thing
Next time.
disappeared.
There is hope for Man United. So 2-0 over. Actually, should have been 3. I don't know if we watched the game. I was in a session, but maybe 3. But there is hope for gosh knows what they've been over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So I will remain faithful until it's gone.
I'm just happy Lisandro Martinez is playing again.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and they just came out today or yesterday. Casemiro is now gone at the end of the season.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think he's going back to Brazil.
yeah.
Yo,
So
how old is Casemiro? Did he come over like when he was like 35? Like was that guy like 40?
No, they always think it always seems like they're older, but they're not.
Those Brazilian guys, man, they be lying about their age. They're
uh,
not as young. They're really like going pro at 16, but they're really like 23.
yeah.
Yeah, those Argentinians, man, they're loyal though. They don't lie about their age.
No, never. There's just a couple that got suspended
Yeah,
for
Crystal
volatility.
Palace ain't won a game since December 11th.
That's tough, man.
It's been a rough month.
All right. On this day in soccer history, January 23rd, 2013. Swansea was playing Chelsea in the first leg of the League Cup semifinal. They beat them 2-0. Then on January 23rd, they played the second part of the game at Swansea. So they're playing Chelsea. Ultimately, Swansea ended up winning and going through. But the reason why the game is memorable is not because Swansea ended up and winning and going to play in the League Cup's final. It was because Eden Hazard got a red card because he kicked a ball boy.
The ball boy.
He kicked the ball boy. But as you dive deeper into this is the weird part about this on this day in history. As you dive deeper into this, turns out that specific ball boy happened to be Charlie Morgan. Charlie Morgan is the son of the Swansea director at the time. And he had already posted on Twitter the day before that he was going to waste as much time as possible when Chelsea had the ball. But yeah, so interesting dilemma.
Can't be out here can't be kicking the ball boy, man.
Yeah, but if the ball boy then becomes a plant on purpose to try to waste your time.
This would have been
I
a
mean, listen.
great ethical question on our first game.
Yeah. Do you kick,
Absolutely.
do you
It's
kick the
absolutely.
ball boy or not?
It's absolutely. You have to. First of all,
You have
you
to kick
have
the
to
ball
train
boy?
the ball kids.
Yeah.
No, you have to train the ball kids. They have to have
No. Hold on. This is what we find out later is that the ball boy, well, he was 17 years old. First of all, it was the son of the director for Swansea and had already posted the fact that he was going to do this on purpose.
Well, he's dumb for posting, but we talk about ethical. I'm going to coach my ball boys to play to win. They're with the home team. Now you have to do your thing for the away team, but
Well, right. That's what they
there's
did.
an underhand, there's underhand toss, there's a roll, there's
But
a
that's why Eden Hazard
overhand
kicked him. That's
toss.
why Hazard went and kicked him.
Well, then you got to fall. Then you got to flop onto the field.
I mean, he got a red card. He was thrown out of the game.
But hey,
Uh,
you want a time waste? You got to fall out in the field to get the medical team out there to evaluate the ball kid. You got to get a
so
replacement.
so here's the question though. Do you think it
Here's
was
your
worth
time.
it?
Look, hey, you're always looking for a time. I'm always looking for a timeout.
Yeah. Here's the question for from a Charlie Morgan perspective though. Before the match, he had 400 followers on Twitter. After the match, he had 90,000. Uh,
They wanted to see what was happening. They were getting ready to put a bet in a parlay.
yeah. So So
I mean, listen, Sebastian,
if
the
you're out
ball
there,
kids
please
would be
don't kick the ball, boys.
Sebastian. The ball kids are in a specific direction, especially when it's not going my way.
Yeah.
To delay, I need a timeout.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. I will publicly put this out there. February 19th or whatever days it is that we're playing at the Home Depot field or whatever it is that we're the Home Depot Roundup or whatever it's called that we're playing in Atlanta. I'm telling you right now, I am wasting time from the first minute of the game. Right.
Ugh.
Yeah, I am diving. I grab the ball. I'm gonna dive, and then it's gonna take me a minute to get up. If you kick it far and I gotta go chase it, I'm not definitely not running to go chase it. So
Sebastian goal kicks will be like,
if somebody kicks the ball, like if the other team kicks the ball to me, I'm just gonna hold it on my foot until wait till the last second to pick it up. Yeah, it's definitely happening.
tranquilo, tranquilo.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm just telling you right now, that's what's gonna happen.
You would get kicked.
We'll see.
You think I would get kicked for doing that at that
I
game?
mean, depends on who
Uh,
you're playing against, but if they're a dog, they're kicking you.
The problem is I don't trust myself sometimes. What that moment kicks in, someone tries to kick me, I might kick back.
You playing against dogs or pups? Because
Dogs bite.
dogs bite. Dogs bite. Pups nibble, but dogs don't go in there and
Yeah.
bite you.
All right. Fair
Kick you.
play of the week. Andrew, why don't you go fair first for the Dan Simmons fair play of the week?
Yeah, no, I think this one ties into kind of the theme. It was one of the sessions I attended that Round Glass gave. So Steve Zaquani from
Yep.
Round Glass gave a really good presentation at the convention over, his struggles and highlights as a professional and through his career and, how coaches affected his mental health and played an important role. And it was a really powerful presentation. I kid you not, I think there was like 7 people crying. Like it was really, really cool to kind of hear his story of, the different experiences and environments that he's been in and how different coaches have dealt with that or people in his life. So he's the type of guy, since we first, met him, he's been so passionate about just trying to care and be helpful and do it in the right way that, you can tell when he tells stories and shares, it's meaningful to him. And it's so I was really moved by that and I thought it was an incredible presentation. So I'm gonna give it to him and the Round Glass team that was there who did a great job.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And if you're part of Delaware or Vermont and you want
Or
to
USYS.
or USYS, yeah, you can take advantage of Round Glass. Visit vermontsoccer.org or Delaware or dysa.org.
Man, you don't even know the website.
I don't know why. Well, because I said Vermont, so that I said Delaware. Whatever. It's dysa.org. I know the website.
Right.
All right, Dwayne,
Or you could probably check it out in the DYSA Chronicles. That dropped today.
that did drop today. It's definitely in there.
Vermont got a newsletter, Andrew?
Yep. It's called the Menace Special.
Is it really?
No.
No.
For a second, he looked like he was serious about
He
it.
was serious. It's called the Menace Special. Like, Menace ain't putting out no newsletter.
No, we have a monthly newsletter, it goes out the end of each month. So
There you go. All right, Dwayne, what's your fair play of the week?
I think it's fair play of the week out to all the presenters at the convention. It's tough to get out there in front of people, especially like on a session. I think the hardest part is the coaches. You don't know these kids, or they probably ask for like. I know one guy was like, I just asked for a specific age,
Yeah.
and you just kind of get what you get. You got to coach the session as best as you can. So I think that's a tough job because I mean everybody. I mean obviously the parents are there to watch their kids, but the coaches, all those coaches are there to watch you coach that session and hit those coaching points.
Yeah.
So you got to really pull out your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Nobody had a three-team rondo, so that might be the session next year.
Or that might be done. No more 3-team rondos.
Trying to say, man, that was like a anything after 2023, you shouldn't be doing a
Yeah, that's
three-team
it.
rondo.
It's done.
Done.
It's done.
Are you running a three-team rondo in your sessions no more?
I still rock a 3-team rondo.
Man, you got to start the session off with a good old three-team rondo.
Yeah, and like 5x5, like the smallest space possible.
So I think the kids have gotten larger because I feel like the three-team rondo back in the day used to be kind of like sizey,
Yeah,
and now it's like, man, there ain't no space in this thing.
no space. All right, my fair play of the week goes out, I think, to soccer, and I do want to call it soccer for this part, not necessarily football. Fox Sports put out an article that was there was a research done by The Economist that now has declared that soccer has now taken over baseball as the number 3 sport in the country as far as like the shares of fans. So American football is still number 1 with 36%, basketball 17%, but now soccer is at 10% with baseball at 9%. So we are slowly but surely moving up, which I think it goes back to Andrew's point. That is, we are heading in the right direction. So as long as we do our job from a youth soccer perspective, then that becomes adult fans, and then we keep going forward. But yeah, so soccer's not back on the map, but soccer's continues to be on the map. And I think obviously with the growth of the MLS, the growth of the NWSL, growth of the USLW and the USL in general, and what that's going to look like next year and everything else. And of course, with the massive significance of the World Cup this summer, the Men's World Cup this summer, it's a great time to be a soccer fan. So if you're listening to this somehow and you're not a soccer fan, man, just start watching some games because they're on there.
Go to Marshall's and get you a hoodie.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Denver Summits, it's kicking off this year. Lindsay Heaps is coming back to Colorado. She's gonna be there after she's done with Leon. So it's a great time to watch the sport for sure. All right, guys, we're gonna we'll put in the interview with Danny and Jason from PropelPro. And then we should record more this week. I'm going to give you a little teaser as to what the mini match day is about. Because Lila and Ethan were upset that we went to the convention without them. They did one 10-minute episode and they were like, you can't record the podcast without us. So the mini match day is they're creating their own soccer club. So they're going to tell us, and we get to ask some questions about their soccer club. So a soccer club created by what a 6 and 8-year-old think about. So I'm not really sure what it's going to look like, but we'll record soon and we'll find out. All right. Thanks for joining us this week. And remember, always receive the ball on your front foot. All right. We are bright and early, 2 days in a row, Andrew. I blame this on you. This one's on you. You got me out of bed earlier than usual, but I do believe that this is a good reason to get out of bed early. We are sitting down with Jason and Danny from PropelPro. How you guys doing?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about PropelPro and what that is. Who wants to start?
Jumping straight into it, right?
Yeah, there's no reason to hold back. Let's just go for it, and then we'll see
to
where.
push the bird out of the nest. He's my little brother.
Oh, there you go.
And like the early bird gets the worm first, man. We beat the security staff here. They're
That's
just
right.
rolling in, and
Yeah.
we're up early. All right, so yeah, what's PropelPro? What do you guys do?
So,
Where did the idea come from?
so PropelPro is an app we developed that is hyper-focused on player development, access, and support throughout sports. The sport we focus on is soccer, and what we do is we provide those touch points that you don't have today between coaches and players, coaches and coaches, and the entire ecosystem physically, and then put it into a form, like an app, that you can do from anywhere. And it gives you the ability to train that higher level that you want to push your club. If you don't have some objective where you want to push your club further than you are today, you're either dead or you're not thinking enough. So the biggest mistake that people make is that they believe that training at a higher level means more time, more money, more effort, but that doesn't mean running around a pitch. There's lots of things you can do off the pitch that make for a better team, make for a better club. So in our app, we have a team section where you can communicate with the entire team. You can review a game together, explain what was done right, what wasn't done right. If you want to use a certain approach or tactical method during the next game because you know it'll counter the other team, you can go over that. You have your virtual film room right here on the app.
And to basically sum it up, it gives the coach the ability to develop the player on and off the field, during the season, off season, and it also holds the player accountable to do what the coach is giving them to do. So if there's an assignment or a drill that they want them to work on at home, it's not just, hey, here's the drill, do it, let me know how it went. You can actually provide a video to the coach so they can see that you did it, and they can even give you feedback on that video.
That's great. All right, so let's take a step further back. Where did the idea come from? Because it's a really cool concept. I've gotten a kind of a little sneak peek. I've gotten to talk to Andrew about it because he's a part of it as well. So where did the idea come from? How do we get to where we are today, and where is it going?
So roughly a year and 4 months ago, my son is an ice hockey goalie. I played a little bit when I was younger, and he clearly has surpassed his father to the point where I could no longer give him that advice to deal with things that were happening during the game. So I tried to look for private coaching, which is super expensive, and in hockey, even harder to find than I think most sports when you're an ice hockey goalie. So we were at a rink one night, and I tried to get a coach on the phone that I knew. It wasn't planned, but I figured, why not? We'll make the best of the hour and a half we have. I couldn't. But I said, okay, good thing there's the internet. There's got to be something online where I can go and find a coach right now who can either give us drills or watch my son play and say, hey, these are the couple of things you can do, and communicate. Could not find a thing. And that's sort of where the light bulb went off. And I saw a hole in this market, in this environment where there needs to be some solution. It just can't be today.
And aside from just finding a lesson on the spot like Danny was looking for that one time, we're both sports dads, soccer, basketball, ice hockey like Danny mentioned, but it also helps the parents help their child. So you've gotten your child as far as you can. Now what do I do? What kind of training should I get my son or daughter? So this app, you can work with a coach as a parent and figure out how to develop your kid and get them further in the sport that they want to progress in.
I think you guys came up with a great idea. I get the question multiple times a season, multiple times a day. Where do I get private training for my kid? Who can do it? And depending on where you live, right? Some of those gaps can't be filled because the coaches are the coaches. They're the high school coaches. They're the rec coaches. They're the directors of the club. They do all the heavy lifting, and there is no time for private training. So I think you guys are definitely onto something where you filled that hole, or you're starting to fill that hole in the marketplace and provide those opportunities, not only for soccer, but all the sports.
Well, and I think it starts to, and I want to dive deeper into the ability for a coach to to give feedback on a video, right, or on a clip or game film and stuff like that. So that's where Andrew kind of comes in, and you've gotten to see that firsthand. How does that look, from your perspective as a former player, and also, well, actually no, I shouldn't say former player. We got a big game coming up in a couple months. In about a month, Andrew and I gotta lace up the boots again. But
hold on. Let's stop the interview there. You got a big game coming up in a couple months.
In about a month, yeah.
Let's elaborate on that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. All right,
let's talk about that. You brought that up. We got to open up that.
Fine. Real quick. So, Andrew and I are part of the youth. Well, what's the official name? Youth Council National Team. Yeah, I brought my hoodie. I'm going to bring my hoodie out tomorrow.
Can I play? I got a hoodie.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to come to Atlanta, February 20th to 21st.
Oh, I'm busy.
Is that where you're playing? We want to be there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're going to be at the U.S. Soccer AGM.
Can Sebastian upload his film?
yeah. All right, there we go. All right,
I'm looking for the coach right now.
There we go. Perfect. All right, so here we go. Andrew.
What position are you playing?
The only position I can play. Outside of the bench, goalkeeper.
Yes.
Sorry, so Andrew, I am going to be playing at the Youth Council National Cup or whatever it is that we're playing in. I'm going to get some game film, of course.
Yep.
I send it to you. What happens? What's your perspective of it, again, as a player and also as a coach?
Yeah, so we get the chance to pilot with PropelPro, actually with our ODP team. And, the opportunity for us, looking at it from a state level, was really interesting in finding those touch points and engagement opportunities with the players outside of our sessions or events that we're doing within the program. And, the pro video analysis that Danny and Jason have come up with and designed is super unique in the fact of, there's analytics, there's drawings, there's graphics that are on there and customizable to the degree of what you're looking for, whether they call that, very foundational or as professional as you want. So it allows me as a coach to really drive the players' development and offer the solution as they age and stage, right, over their developmental career. And it's been really cool for us to see because we're actually starting to see players within our program enjoy it and drive their own development, which is a big component of this as well, right, is that players have the option to now drive their development, find the resources in the areas that they need. And we were able to kind of pair that alongside the resources they have and that we've actually created for our programs specific to the players, which has been great. But then also, when we look in terms of IDPs and individual development plans, this has been an incredible solution from a club or an ODP perspective, let's say, where I can house that data of kids across their development, and it's continuous, right? And those touch points are real and relevant, and we can continue to find them opportunities outside of just working with me on a Saturday at our training. And we've gotten a response that, hey, we're doing more, but I don't have to find a field, right? I don't have to go spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on field rentals, or I have to go find, coach availability. It's no, hey, here's what I'm working on. Great. Andrew's working throughout the day, gets back to me at 5 p.m. perfect with feedbacks. Next day I do it as player. And that asynchronous model, I think, has allowed more conversations to happen, but then also allowing players to engage, take feedback, development, but it's trackable and accountable. And that's been a good step for us in Vermont, particularly, right, where we are finding resources and we are trying to find ways to have more touch points. So it's been great from that perspective for us.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I was in one of the technical leads sessions, and one of the things they talked about was the number of hours that they looked at a study over professional players in the UK, and the amount of hours that an elite player has, and how many more hours of potential either intentional training or just free play they have over another elite player, but not as skilled of an elite player. And one of the things he talked about was the fact that it's not just the number of hours, it's how intentional you are with your time and how the quality over the quantity of it, right? So this to me seems like it's definitely about the quality of it, because now you're talking about intentionality with the feedback that you're getting, and in a platform that is conducive to that. So where is it going now? Like, what are the next steps before I dive deeper into my nerdy self of like, how did you develop this? Because that's the next thing I want to know too. But where is it going? Where do you want to go with it?
So sure, I also wanted to mention that aside from our asynchronous components, we have live components, and that's either in individual format or a group format. And to your point on quality, from I don't know, a week into this, when we were planning it out and kind of creating the roadmap, quality is it. Without quality, we're not interested in this business. We're not interested in releasing an app. It's all about finding those right coaches who may have the accolades of D1 and up, or recognized within their sport, that can really add to what teams, players are doing today.
I just wanted to add,
Yeah.
and in terms of giving, like Andrew was mentioning, the tools, we're giving him more bandwidth as a coach to work with each player, give them more specialized attention, and that's how you get the quality from the athletes. They provide you, they work harder. They're not just practicing outside against the wall by themselves. They know that they're going to send their video to their coach, better quality practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of where we're going, so we started with soccer. We each have connections to soccer in terms of our playing careers as kids. I can't really call it a career. And what our kids' interests are. And call it the next year or so. Holistically, it would be a real accomplishment if I could see PropelPro in an unexpected area where there aren't many resources, and now you have those resources. That would be a significant accomplishment for me, and of course, from a more particular level, just getting national and quick, and then beyond.
Okay. So how do you develop this in general? Because I think that's again, my nerdy self at times just gets to the point of like, how do you get from idea, that light bulb moment when you're there with your son trying to figure out the ice hockey goalkeeper coaching to how do you get to that to develop an app? Like, what are the steps that go into that?
So, particularly with PropelPro, I took my time to think about what apps are out there, even nothing to do with sports, and how are they doing what they're doing that relate to what I want to do. So, for example, there's a site called Cameo, which we love. We use all the time. You wish happy birthdays through professional players, actors, reality TV stars, and it's a lot of fun. I went on and I looked at the sports components of it, and some of the athletes I saw on there were wishing people happy birthday for $50. And I said, wow, there's a better use of time, and there's giving a coach the opportunity to do something, I won't call it similar, but on the same wavelength within their sport that affects other young adults, children, is a massive opportunity. These people on the site make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it's not all about the money, but for a retired player who doesn't necessarily have that broadcasting job, there's a big opportunity there.
Right, they've been working 20, 30, 40 years in their sport. Instead of wishing a happy birthday, they can actually give a meaningful lesson and use what they've learned to help young athletes progress in their sport.
And it's also not to that point, soccer careers, let's just say you turn pro, best case scenario, 18 to 20 years old, you retire by 35, maybe now it's been a little bit longer, 38, something like that, right? So you have an 18 to 20 year career, let's just say, right? Unless you're, we all think that of professional soccer players as the Messi, Mbappe's, Ronaldo's of the world, who, yes, one contract, boom, they're done, you don't have to work for the rest of their life, plus investments and all these other things. The professional player that's playing in potentially the USL or the MLS or whatever other league that's not the Premier League at times, or its top divisions, aren't necessarily making like career or retirement living like I can just retire at 35 and never have to work again and just sit on the couch and watch TV. Like that's also not conducive to your family, right? Like you might not have to work again, but at some point, the idea is that we want to try to leave this world better for our kids, our family, whatever it is. So the fact that you're giving them an opportunity to share on their craft, as you were saying, Jason, that I think is, they have all these years of experience that are built there, and they might not want to necessarily be on the field 5 nights a week or 4 nights a week actually coaching, because of, that takes time, energy, and all these other things that they might not want to do. But this gives you an avenue to do that, right?
And I think, sorry, Jason, I think like what you just said is something I would love for you guys to share, because, that was a question I originally had when learning, is PropelPro does not replace coaching.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a key thing that can be misinterpreted in today's ecosystem of clubs and,
sure.
The environment you walk in. But if you guys want to share that story, because I think that's a huge question that probably a lot of people would ask originally when they're like, who's PropelPro, and talking for the first time, but I think it's an important one to talk about.
Yeah, so I can't deliver that message stronger. It is not our intent, and never will be our intent, to replace coaches. Coaches are an incredibly important part of an athlete's journey, and what we're doing is we're enhancing the ability for higher level or more coaching that they couldn't do before, and in unique ways that are effective. But this will never be AI. There will always be humans on every part of it, and it will always be part of something more. Where you may find interactions that don't parallel a coach is, parents who have, let's say, a teenager who has the aspirations to go to or get some scholarship to a college. What do? I don't know. The parents weren't professionals or they didn't play in college, but now you have some guidance. You have folks on the app. This is what they do. They can guide you in the directions you need to. So we're finding unique ways to work with coaches, work with clubs and the larger sports world without disrupting. That's not our objective.
And can you talk a little bit about, let's say, Dwayne is involved in a club here, right? And Dwayne has the best coaches in the whole world, and he's so happy. And that deliverable is great, but what are the additional and supplemental kind of areas and opportunities that you're facilitating to support clubs in terms of resources they maybe not have, educational things they may not have? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So from that perspective, we're providing clubs with the opportunity to have those kind of specialists that they may not have had before. And I don't mean to pigeonhole it in specialists, but I just think it's a great example. So a club that doesn't have a goalkeeper coach or goalkeeper coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, mental performance coaches, for what one session would cost, you have multi-month program with these type of specialists that become acclimated with the team, have regular sessions together, and it could be things that I'm not thinking of. Really, you could find plenty of people out there who do other type of things, tacticians who can give you that advice you need. And it's a matter of just flicking a button, and now you've provided something for your team that wasn't there before. One thing that we didn't cover yet, which I think is relevant at this point, is, to your point, when you're playing in a league or not even just coaching, you're not necessarily making that retirement money.
Yeah.
And for the coaches within that club, they have the ability to put themselves out there and make themselves available to people across the country and derive another source of revenue.
On their own time. That's the other important thing, that it's not all about live sessions. We have that asynchronous video exchange, so they can have a couple athletes they work with on the platform. They each send in a bunch of videos, and then when they have time during the day, when they're not coaching or when they're waiting for a flight, they go through and they start analyzing the videos and doing the voiceovers and get it back to the athletes, and extra revenue, but on their own time also.
I think what's interesting is, I've been reflecting a lot the last couple of days, just because the first convention I came to was in 2013, I believe, or some of those lines, 2014 in Philadelphia. And at the time, one of the biggest things was the United Soccer Coaches, or at that time was the NSCAA, resource library. That resource library for coaches was basically just a bunch of sessions that people would put out on a regular basis, and that's how you found resources. Then that kind of started going away, and then we started being able to access YouTube videos, right? So there's a lot of YouTube that coaches were using and things like that. And same thing with that started developing, or that started moving in a direction where players would now accessing YouTube to find videos and things like that. And the biggest thing with all of that, right? And Dwayne and I have had these conversations before, where you try something that you found on the internet and you tried it out and you're like, it's like a recipe, right? Like it looks really good in that Instagram reel where this person's like cooking this chicken, and then all of a sudden you're like, great, I made it at home and it doesn't look anything like the video.
Doesn't look anything like it, right?
And same thing, right? Like we sit here and watch all these YouTube videos and then it doesn't really look like it. You're now able to provide, whether it's live or in asynchronous format, that feedback that's always needed, because we've swung so much the other way, where we're like, now we're relying on the computer to tell us what to do, and we've lost that human element. And this is a way to kind of almost mix both concepts, right? Like that it can be Andrew in Vermont talking to somebody in Alaska, right? But there's a human element to it. There's that human feedback to it, whether again it's live or it's asynchronous, but there's a human element to it, which I think is almost combining both concepts of the like in-person live, me at the field with Dwayne's telling me what to do, or providing me feedback on that, or me just finding a video of Andrew coaching from 3 years ago, and that's what I'm learning from. Right, there's a mixture of both things. There's a lot of intentionality with that.
Well, think about how much player development, like I'm thinking about the YouTube video, right? What's the first move a kid's going to go look for? They're going to want to do a move, right? They're going to go look for like a Maradona, or like the flashiest move, right? Yeah. Now you're able to give that feedback and give opportunity and say, hey, instead of a Maradona, can you get a Cruyff or an L-turn, something simple? Or, they send in a clip and you're like, hey, you tried this Maradona 3 times, you turned the ball over, like, here's different options. Like you can give that live feedback that maybe that coach tries to give and they can't give that feedback because the kid tunes them out, right? So there's plenty of opportunity, I think, there with the technology piece and the app piece being brought together.
Right, and you had mentioned giving more options. When you do provide the videos back to the athlete, we do have a way that you can use some of the drills that we have, but you can also record yourself doing a drill or a demonstration and then send that back to the athlete and say, this is what I want you to work on next time, and this is how I want you to do it.
Right, absolutely. I think that piece is huge, because I think when we do send kids away, we're going with the hope that they can understand. And we know, like obviously as educators, we know that sometimes when you give a kid something, they don't always process what exactly it looks like. So that video option, the audio option, I think all that, and then probably the text option as well, just gives all that feedback for the kids.
What I really like the potential of this, and Dwayne and I have had this experience of coaching multiple years in the same club where, for example, I coached a group for a number of years, and then their next coach was Dwayne, and they love Dwayne, but maybe they're still connected to me in somewhere where they see me at the field all the time and things like that. This is still a way for me to potentially be their coach while Dwayne is also their coach. So they're still, they're getting a little bit of both things, or they're getting both things, which I think would be a really cool concept.
So this leads me to my bold statement of the week.
Okay.
However, it's a question for Danny or Jason or anyone. I see there's a lot of potential for the app, and I think that one piece of this is, and I think you mentioned it in your opening statement, is it's connecting coaches with athletes, it's connecting coaches with coaches. I'm going to be bold and say it's connecting referees with referees, it's connecting parents with however this works. And we understand where we're at in the ecosystem. There's the jambalaya soup of everything else that's going on, and who knows. How do you envision this maybe actually being a way that those clubs in ECNL talk to those clubs in Vermont State League? How do those coaches develop, from different experiences, and we're all contributing in terms of development and opportunities and access to the same common goal, which I think everyone in the country agrees upon, right? That we all want to get better, we want more resources, we want more opportunities, we want to develop in that manner. Do you foresee this being a way that coaches can find that mentorship, referees can find that mentorship? There's opportunities nationwide that Andrew in Vermont can get post a coaching session clip, let's say for 15 minutes on a whatever, and Sebastian in, let's say, Arkansas can actually say, no, I've been here, I've done that, here's kind of how I solve that problem.
So yes, you're on point in the sense of creating a unification where we let our guard down on our silos of training and concerns about other people telling our players how to play, and start sharing solutions and focusing on what works and what doesn't, and having that ecosystem. We call it center field, but where people interact over different type of topics, and it's meant to be somewhere where you have those conversations, whether it's changes of methods, but there really isn't any reason why two different, what do you call it, alphabet soup clubs can't communicate with each other through the sport of soccer, and not necessarily from that corporate organizational level. And that's really our hope at the end of the day.
Yeah, center field is all about building a community within our platform, and whether it's through sharing content of yourself or just open discussions or webinars that you want to host, that's what the whole point, making a community with the people in your sport on our platform.
Yeah, I think our last webinar was with Heather O'Reilly.
Okay.
Of course, everyone knows who she is, and it was very successful. She did a webinar to ODP athletes, so it was her years ago, and it was amazing.
How to become a pro, yeah.
Right? Her drive, what it took, telling them, if you want this is what you have to do. And I was very touched by that webinar.
And I got the chance to moderate it for our ODP kids with Heather, and she was amazing. And the feedback we got was like, wow, like Heather O'Reilly spoke to Vermont ODP, and the topic was how to be a champion. And I think it's such a cool opportunity, and those are, when I look at it, even from my level as an executive director as a state, or as a leader where I'm trying to manage opportunities across the entire state. This was a solution that was so awesome to see. And so, I would love for you guys maybe to share. My last question, would be, there's layers to the app, I feel, and there's layers to the content and the programming, right? There's an individual level, there's even a team level, there's a club level, but there's also even a state association or even a national level to this as well. And Sebastian knows I like the word intentionality, but how are you being intentional about the resources to position, no matter if I'm a state association, a club leader, anybody at my level, to make sure that the app facilitates the right engagement and the right offerings, to be able to support what we all want to achieve?
So I think it starts from the club, if we're talking in that context, and understanding where their gaps are. That's not a negative thing. That just means where they want to improve. And once we understand that, we can create different types of programs that suit the needs of that club. We also have online resources that Jason was referring to. We have our own drill libraries, our own skills libraries, but also coaches can post their own entire drill libraries, decide whether to make those available or not, and that's something that can be accessible to everybody. So the point is not to give this capability to only those who could pay a lot of money, because they do it much more efficiently than in the real world, but it's to make it available to the folks who don't have those resources. So that's a very important part of this app for us.
I think, Andrew, to go back to your question as to, where does this all fit in and everything else, and I think to me, if it's back into that moment with Danny and his son in the ice rink trying to figure out what the best solution is for his son, I think that's what it comes back to. Like, that's the common ground in this entire thing. If we can all figure out or we can all understand or realize that the common ground that we have is the fact that we want to try to provide opportunities for players to get better, and players that want to get better, and provide a better environment for them, I think everything else can be put aside to a certain extent, because that's the key, right? And Danny, you just said it, right? It's regardless of where you sit in the alphabet soup and everything else, it's not about the competition. That part I think has to potentially stop, right? Like there doesn't need to be competition, and you mentioned that there's that gaps shouldn't be viewed as weaknesses to a certain extent, right? I think it's just about awareness, self-awareness. Self-awareness is a club of like, hey, here's what I can provide. Here are the things that I know I want to potentially provide, but I know I can't because of A, B, and C reason. And there's a reason why I can't get to that point. So what can I do to find that, right? What can I do to find that within my environment that actually helps me? And I think that's where this fits. I think it's ultimately, again, at the center of it is a player or a coach or a referee or a parent that wants to ultimately get better. And we need to stop putting hurdles on people that want to get better. Sure. I think that's the key. Because sometimes we do that to ourselves. We say, you want to get better. That's great, fantastic. But only get better by doing what I tell you to do. And that's not always the case, right? Like, oh, you want to get better, but if you want to get better, you should go play at that club, not this club. Well, if I want to get better and I want to do more training and I want to do more, I want to engage more, why can't I just do it the way I want to, right?
Yeah. But I think you also want to make sure that that when you teach getting better, you teach them with the understanding of what you're looking for. You're being very specific to it, because if Andrew's that alphabet soup coach and he's on PropelPro, my club's not alphabet soup. I don't want that kid tuning me out and saying, well, Coach Andrew's got all these letters behind his name.
But I think that goes back to Danny's point of this isn't about a competition between coaches, and I think that's the biggest part too, right? That there's no competition, or there shouldn't be a competition between coaches, because if you're going to be on the app, hopefully you're going to be in the app for the right reason. Like as a coach, right? You're going to be in the app for the right reasons, just to develop players and potentially develop yourselves into a new skill or enhance the skills that you already have. But hopefully you're not trying to teach a kid that, they should.
Yeah, and I think it all goes back to what I said earlier, and I'm a firm believer of this, is the player ultimately, no matter what, you could give them everything in the world, the player has to have the ability to drive their own development.
Yeah.
And as leaders, as educators, as resources, this, in my opinion, and all that everyone is contributing towards needs to be able to say, hey, we're setting every kid up for success by here's all of the resources for you to be successful. I never want to be in a situation where a player walks through the door and says, I wish I had this, or I don't have it, right? And we didn't offer it.
Yeah.
Right? If I can offer it and the player chooses not to take advantage of it, great. That's another story, right? But I think, this has been a really cool opportunity, both developmentally, but I think engagement-wise too, right? When I'm looking as leaders, it's, do I bring a nutritionist in for those ODP kids? And I say, hey, let's talk about these habits and what's actually going on to prepare you here. We talk about the college recruitment process and the lack of education on what that looks like, and it's always evolving today now with everything that's going on. Can I bring people through a connected space to see that? And then I think you made a really good point, which, I see a lot in the club space, and I'd be interested to hear your guys', Danny and Jason, your answer to this. What would you say to a club, and we know how prideful clubs are in terms of their philosophy, their methodology, if you're in my club environment, I want this progression for a player, and I don't want counterintuitive coaching, let's say, in a capacity. I believe you've shared a little bit with me, but tell everybody a little bit how you're able to kind of hone that in and give clubs who want that specificity of their environment, their development with their kids without any outside kind of forces. How's that's available through PropelPro?
So I don't think it's ever been easier, because we provide the methods to create that ecosystem of your team, of your club, and really start from the top down. Top can mean coach, top can mean club, and it's creating the programs, putting strength and conditioning coaches every Tuesday and Wednesday on the calendar for everyone to see that they can click and join in, and then you're on with a strength and conditioning coach. So it can be a source of outside assistance, but it doesn't need to be. You may have great coaches and you're just elevating their ability to interact with your athletes.
And if you want them to work with another coach in your club, you can give them an incentive to do, or schedule the sessions for them to work with that coach off when they're not at practice. And just to jump back to how we could help with state associations, this can give state associations more visibility as much as the club wants to give them, to be more engaged with them, to say, okay, we saw that this other club is doing this, or using a strength and conditioning coach, maybe you guys can try it, and gives them a little bit more of the ability to be involved without having to drive to every single club to watch practices and be that involved physically. You can be involved virtually with them too.
Right. See what works. I wanted to address your point on coaches being on for the right or wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know the many wrong reasons, but we've developed this a certain way where that weeds out automatically. This is a marketplace, and if you're a coach who is not providing a service that's demanded, you're not going to have any clients.
Yep.
So we don't get involved in telling coaches what to do. We don't tell them the methods. We put them on there and say, be the best you can be. The world is your oyster, quote unquote. And you're not going to do that if you're not giving them the type of coaching that you're referring to.
Right. I think before we wrap up, Dwayne, this is the perfect place for you to launch your Right Back Academy.
Right Back Academy is already open, man. We got the logo and everything. It's open. But, Sebastian, hopefully you can upload some film from the Youth Council National Team. Upload your game film so we can look at it and evaluate it
Great.
on the platform.
Will you evaluate, Dwayne?
Absolutely.
Yes. You might not even have to pay him to do that.
I might be the coach that we just spoke of that you don't want the feedback from. You should have dove faster. Get up.
Danny, Jason, where, as we wrap up, where can people find you? Where is it in this? Like, what stage are we in? Can anybody join at this point? Like, where are we in the process? If people are listening are either a player, a coach, other state association, other club leaders, where are they? Where is it in the process? And at what point are they joining right now?
So we've wrapped up most of our pilots, and at this point, anyone can join. It's available at the App Store. The app is called PropelPro, and I would say you could start playing around now.
Okay.
It's only going to improve as each day passes. We're rolling in functions that we've had completed for a while, and I think it's fair to say that we're there in terms of where we want to be right now.
Right. And the nice thing is you sign up, you enter as an athlete, then you're elevated into a coach, but that also gives you the ability to go back to be an athlete. So a coach can technically be an athlete and get coached by another coach.
There you go, Andrew.
That's awesome.
We're bringing. We need to bring some sort of camera down and film the game, and then we'll evaluate. That might be a live YouTube.
I got a VO for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're traveling with the VO too, but we might not be able to take the tripod. We should be like
Well,
that video that I
got
sent.
That video where you got to find a guy to
You
hold
just
the
gotta
video
find
up.
a guy to hold the video up.
The last thing I would say is I wouldn't hesitate to reach out to us as a company.
Yeah.
I mean, we have lots of ways to solve solutions, and you as a club might. I mean, there's plenty of ways to leverage this platform in ways that Danny and Jason, soccer dads, haven't.
Yeah. So they can reach out to you on the app as well. They can just contact you, and all the information's there.
Sure.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Danny, Jason, thanks so much for sitting down with us. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to hopefully be a part of it from a state association perspective, and I'm excited to go for it. And I'm excited to potentially get the feedback that I've always wanted in my life as a player in the next month or so. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
so
us.
much.